Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B-Live, the Money Man, Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, here they are, the Sports Bros.
Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Episode number 62, coming at you live, direct, on a Tuesday. That's our normal day. So, if you're listening, thank you. Welcome. Once again, we are in your ears, in your earbuds, in your headphones, in your car speakers, your Bluetooth speaker. Either way, we are here to give you what you want to talk about. Sports. This world is crazy, Scottie D. We had a conversation before we started recording about how crazy the world is, but somehow, some way, sports will bring us all together. And as I did mention, I am joined by the Money Man, Scottie D.
Yes, sir. Oh, I stole that line from the guy who is absent this week. Where is B Live? What is B Live doing? He is MIA. Is he out celebrating his birthday already? Is that what's going on?
B Live is going to be tired. Okay,
he is going to be tired. He is getting worked to death at Mac's Speed Shop out on Church Road and home of the best brisket and burgers.
McFish. Oh, jeez. You know what? I give you A for effort. You paid some attention and you tried. Don't get me recited because I don't know how. I just know the burgers are good. The sweet potato fries are great. They got 100+ beers on tap. If y'all see B Live, tell them Eddy Kool and Scottie D said hello. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
Wish birthday.
And yes, and wish him a happy birthday, too. If you see the almighty B Live, or if you want to wish him happy birthday, you can catch him on Facebook, Brian Livingston, or on Instagram at This Be Your Boy B Live, and just wish him happy birthday. All right, now that we got it out the way, Scottie D, let's talk about some sports. All right, now, yes, let's talk about some sports. This past Thursday, the NBA said, yeah, we feel like coming back. We're going to make it happen. All right, and so here is the breakdown of it. The season will run through July. It will start July 31st, and the finals will end on October 12th. Now, there will be 22 teams returning, 13 in the East, 9 in the West. 8 regular season games per team, and there will be a play-in for the 8th spot. All right, now if the 9th team is within 4 games of 8th place, after those 8 games, there will be a play-in series between the 8th and 9th place teams. To advance, the 9th place must win 2 games before the 8th place team wins 1. You got all that?
Yeah.
You got all that?
There's no test on it, but I'm trying to follow.
Okay, good. And the one lone team that said no, take a wild guess.
Golden State?
Wrong. You're right. Right conference, wrong team. It was the Portland Trail Blazers. They said, we don't want no parts of this. And speaking of coming back, like Return of the Mac, the NHL, they will be entering phase 2 of their play plan effective June the 8th, which was Monday. It is expected that teams will be permitted to return to the home facilities for small group voluntaries and on and off ice training. Yep, they're going to work out because, the NHL is going straight to the playoffs. And Major League Baseball, they had a stalemate, but they brought something to the Players Association. They said, look, how about this? 76 games and 75% of the prorated salaries. And the season will start July the 10th and end on July the 27th with the World Series.
No.
So, Scottie D.
Right? Baseball will start when?
July the 10th.
And end when?
September the 27th. Oh,
September. Okay. You said July. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. The season will start July 10th and end September the 27th. Scottie D, from the looks of it, man, we might get us some sports soon, man. What you think?
Oh, bring it on. Baseball is really, I think, on the verge of blowing it because they conceivably could already be back. They could have, if not back all the way, they could have been really, really close, and they could have stole the spotlight and had all eyes on them. That's what UFC's done. They're the ones that are getting the attention because they're actually going out and performing. I understand it's a whole different level of testing and all that stuff from what baseball does, but again, the baseball greed. This keeps happening to these guys every few years. The way these other sports are going, NHL and NBA, it's going to be really interesting because it's going to be different. We see the same thing year in and year out with the playoff format and how it's structured. This is going to be a whole different ball game, and I'm interested to see how this is going to work out. For the NBA, they're going to get 8 warm-up games? Is that what you said? Pretty much 8 regular season games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 per team.
Okay,
yeah.
so they're going to have time to kind of get their legs under them and then get into the playoffs. And, these teams should be as healthy as ever going into postseason. We criticize them. Some criticize them for some of the load management they've done in the past. That's kind of been a thing the last couple of years where you sit your stars, especially if they're on back-to-back nights, give them that a little extra time. But this whole league has been load managed going into the playoffs. So they should all be, you get 8 games to 8 regular season games to kind of get your legs under you, get your wind back, get into game shape, and away we go. We should have fully health, pretty healthy teams going into the playoffs. I kind of like the idea of that.
Yep, the idea is not that bad. One of the biggest concerns, of course, is safety. COVID-19 is still running around there like a chicken with his head cut off. Only thing about it is you can't see it. You just gotta be mindful where you go. But yeah, it'll be good to see NBA back, and safety is a big concern too. And how about Portland? Portland said, we don't want nothing to do with it. I mean, they were on the verge of going at that 8 seed. I think it was between them and Memphis when the season ended. So I definitely think if done right, basketball will be fine. It'll be good. It'll be back. It'll just be a continuation of the season. And also on top of that, I think I saw somewhere where KD was like, "Look, I'm not coming back. Just don't worry about it. I am not coming back." And that's smart, man, because you tear your Achilles, man. You gotta take your time with that and don't rush yourself back, because Scottie D, if you know as well as I do, that's what happened with Penny Hardaway when he had his knee issues. They rushed him back, and he was never the same again.
Yeah, there's no need for Kevin Durant to come back and at all for any reason. Most likely after the finals wraps up, and you said the finals are going to be in October? Is that what you said? Is that?
Yeah, October the 12th. I think that is. I think either. I want to say week 4 of the NFL season, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's usually right around the time that the NBA is getting ready to get going. That obviously means they'll probably be moved back to December. That's just additional time for Kevin Durant to get healthy. He has no business going out there, and especially the money he's being paid. Brooklyn doesn't need him going out there and risking any type of injury. So that's fine. That's a good decision on his part. Some of these other teams, they were playing out the string anyway, so that no need to see these guys go out there and try to rev up for 8 games or whatever it is. But the health and safety of these guys definitely is going to be something to keep an eye on. Like you said, the coronavirus is not going anywhere. The numbers are still rising, and we're trying to get back to normal as much as possible, the new normal. This is going to go on in Orlando, correct? Is that how they agreed to do this? This is not all going to be on Orlando. So all the testing will be pretty much right there. I hope this works. I really do. I mean, I want to see, competitive sports. I would love it if they were in front of people. That's obviously not going to happen. But, just seeing them get back on the court would oh, man, it would be soothing to me. Like, so all the craziness in the world, anytime there's been craziness in the world in the past, sports has been our escape. That's where I personally go. That's why I'm doing this. What we do together here is because this is our passion. It's what we love. And we haven't had that since, March. It's been months now. And it would be such a nice thing to see these guys get out there on the floor. It It would be great. So I hope that the safety and the health of these players and their families when they join them, I hope that works out. I really, really do.
Yeah, you seem a little winded.
Yeah,
I
I
understand,
really
man.
do.
We are starving for sports. No disrespect to professional wrestling when it comes to WWE and AEW. They're doing what they can with what they got. That's why they've been centralized in Florida, because the governor said, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and make this an essential. I think money's involved, but that's
Yeah.
me. Um, yeah, so that's why we've been seeing empty crowds for a while. They slowly start to bring the crowds back. And how about the WWE doing the whole plexiglass thing?
Oh yeah, I saw that. They're on the aisles, right? They're coming down the aisle. You got plexiglass up there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the plexiglass, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, different. I mean, I mean, hey man, like you said, that's the new normal, man. As far as like coming through the stands and coming in contact with the fans, that might be a thing of the past until this whole coronavirus get a vaccine or it subsides. So as of right now, that is the new normal. And speaking of going to normal, we got at the fights with the money man, Scottie D. The reason I say at the fights with Scottie D is because your boy here, the HOC, Eddy Kool, it was in the wee hours of the morning. I realized, oh, there was a fight, but it was already over and done with. And Scott, I had a chance to browse at the UFC card, and it was stacked. You want to give us some reviews off that, some feedback from
Yeah.
that?
Well, I'll start with the main event, which was Amanda Nunes, and she fought Felicia Spencer. Now, the casual fan knows Amanda Nunes because she's been a champion for a couple years now. Felicia Spencer, I watched fight Cyborg not too long ago, last year I think it was, early this year, late last year, and this woman stood in there with her and just took everything she had. She actually bloodied Cyborg, so I knew that Felicia Spencer could take some punishment. I actually watched this fight with my dad and my nephew, and as Felicia Spencer was coming out, I said, I don't expect her to win, but I can tell you this girl can take a punch, and she took a ton. Let me just tell you, Amanda Nunes just beat this girl and beat her and beat her and beat her. And at the end of 5 rounds, Felicia Spencer was still hanging in there. So I give credit to her for hanging in there. Matter of fact, after the fight, Nunes let her hold her belt for a moment, just as a show of respect, because Amanda Nunes said that was, an opponent that she couldn't put away, and went all the way with her. Having said that, Amanda Nunes is now, I think, approaching the conversation of not just the greatest woman fighter in UFC history, but she's in the conversation of the best ever. I mean, you look to John Jones and Anderson Silva as the guys who are probably considered the best fighters to ever be in the octagon. UFC is, relatively short lifespan on the grand scheme of things, but Amanda Nunes is cleaning out 2 divisions now. She's a double champion, and the biggest fights she's already taken care of. She whooped Ronda Rousey. She whooped Holly Holm. She whooped Cyborg. Uh, Misha Tate. She's beaten everybody who's like considered the top legendary champions of the sport. She's already put them away. I really don't know what we're going to see next. We're going to have to put her in there with a dude, Eddy Kool, because these women out there ain't getting, and there's like nobody near her. There's just nobody that is in her. It's like her and then everyone else, and you have to wonder if everyone else is how good they would be if she was not around. You'd probably have like some competitive championships and fights, but she is so far head and shoulders above everyone. It's not even funny. She barely even broke a sweat the other night. She was never in trouble. She just dominated this woman, and I just don't see how there's going to be a challenge for her anytime soon until some of these young fighters kind of grow up and get some more fights under the belt, mature. But she just doesn't have
Yeah,
any competition.
yeah, man. It's at the point, like you said, man. It's Amanda Nunes, and then everybody
Absolutely.
else. And the thing about everybody else is there ain't no everybody else. That's
Yeah.
it. We've apex. We've hit the ceiling, man. Something is gonna have to be figured out soon, man. Because if she mowed down Ronda, if she mowed down Misha Tate, and if she mowed down Holly Holm, that's 1, 2, 3 in the division. And then she beat Felicia Spencer, but she took it the distance. Who knows, man? You in the future you might see a Nunes Spencer too.
Maybe. I mean, because Felicia Spencer's good enough to go out there and beat probably other featherweights, but there's just nowhere for Amanda Nunes to go. She's at the top and looking way down at everyone else. Now, on the rest of this card here, this was a night of actually the bantamweight division was really kind of stepped to the forefront. That's 126 to 135 pound weight limit in UFC. And I think there are a couple guys that are going to be absolute stars. Aljamain Sterling, this young man, he beat this Corey Sandhagen. These guys were both in the top, I think, both top 5, and he tapped out Sandhagen quickly. Sandhagen was on a 7-fight win streak, and Sterling tapped him out a minute and a half into the first round. And we had Cody Garbrandt, who's a former champion. He was on a 3-fight losing streak. He had an incredible knockout of a guy named Rafael Sancho. He put him away with 1 second remaining in the second round. It was like a walk-off. He busted this dude and then walked off. But there was a guy that I'm telling you, you're going to want to watch going forward. A young man by the name of Sean O'Malley. I believe he's 22. You'll recognize him anytime you see him because he's got multicolored hair. His hair kind of looks like when you get one of those clown wigs, those puffy Afro-like clown wigs, with the different colors in it.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
He braids it obviously when he gets into the ring, but into the octagon. But his fight the other night, he fought a guy named Eddie Wineland, who is a lifer in the UFC. He's been around for a while. He's a veteran, and he knocked this guy out in the first round. And he hit him so hard that I'm pretty sure O'Malley was already turning and walking away before Wineland hit the ground. He didn't even. He knew when he hit him, it was over because he didn't even jump him to try to finish the fight. And this kid's 12-0, and he's already, like I said, I think he's only 22 years old. So this, they're calling it the sugar show whenever he gets to the octagon because he's very talented and he's doing some things on the mat that even Joe Rogan has a hard time describing. I mean, Sean O'Malley is he's an up and comer, but this whole bantamweight division, I think the other night took a big step forward. It was a lot of fun to watch, man. I mean, it's actually nice. Like I said, I'm starving for sports. It's nice to have these live events. Say what you will about Dana White, he's getting the job done. But that kind of brings us to another point, and I think you were reading up on that earlier, right? About the different difficulties the UFC's facing right now with some of the stars.
Yeah, some of the stars, the drama, what's going on with them with Masvidal, and then Conor McGregor at Saturday night was like, well, and I'm done fighting, and whoo, boy, John Jones, the mess he got going on, and it's crazy, man. It's it is absolutely nuts, man.
Here's the thing, Eddie. I think that for a long time the UFC fighters have been underpaid comparative to other sports and compared to boxing. And the problem is right now is I think that these fighters are finally starting to want to come together and not necessarily unionize, but they're having similar thoughts in that they're being underpaid, but they're picking the wrong time to do this. The UFC is slated to lose $100 million this year because there's not going to be any live gates. So Masvidal wants paid. John Jones wants paid. McGregor's retiring. He's not saying it's because he wants paid, but he says he's not getting enough offers of good fights. Henry Cejudo just retired 2 weeks ago. It kind of seemed like there may have been some money issues with him as well. Dana White defends this. Now, this is kind of unique with the UFC because these fighters are considered independent contractors in that Dana White can't say, you're going to fight this guy when I tell you to fight him. He offers the fights, and it's up to them to accept or shoot him down. He can't make these guys take these fights, but they're under contract to UFC. So that's kind of an interesting thing is that Masvidal doesn't have to ever fight, but he can't go anywhere else to fight because he's under contract to UFC. It's kind of strange how that's structured. And like I said, Dana White always says, if they don't want to fight, they don't have to. But they don't have the freedom to go to Bellator or to any other organizations or anything. So kind of an impasse here. And I know that I heard Dana White talking with Dan Levitard on ESPN last week about the John Jones situation. And evidently he said that when John Jones restructured his last contract, there was some talk about heavyweight in it. So his money is already being paid to him based on that. And Jones is saying, I'm going to move up. I'm putting myself at risk. I need to be paid more. I'm not being paid what I should. And I'm going to step away and vacate the light heavyweight title. So there's kind of a mess going on right now with the top stars. But we'll see how that all gets resolved. I don't believe we've seen the last of Conor McGregor. I mean, this guy's retired 3 times on Twitter now in the last 2 years.
Exactly. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, just for in order for me to believe Conor McGregor to be retired, I need a whole 365 days of me not seeing you on my TV screen, either getting in trouble or
Well, that's the
knocking
thing, though,
somebody
Eddie.
out.
He's barely fighting anyway. Him being retired is going to be barely noticeable. He had 1 fight this year in January, none in 2019. He had 1 fight in 2018, and none in 2017. I think that was the year maybe he fought Floyd Mayweather in 17. So the last time he fought 3 times in the UFC in a single year was 2016, and hasn't done that again since. Conor at this point doesn't need UFC money. You know, he's got, he's selling whiskey. He's got a whiskey contract. He's made himself into a star and invested his money. So for him at this point, I don't think it's necessarily about getting that money, but these are 4 stars that the UFC is looking at losing, or there's trouble with them. That guys that we'd like to see fight that are top draws for the UFC. UFC is always going to replenish their supply. There's always going to be another up and coming star. But right now you got established stars that are unhappy, and I can only just see how they're going to pass this down to the up and coming fighters, and eventually UFC is going to have to start paying out a little bit more higher percentage, I think, to these fighters.
I remember the beginning stages of UFC. It was real hard to actually get licensed and actually fight in these states. I mean, they've been fighting for a very, very long time, man. What people don't realize, the UFC didn't really start about, 10, 15 years ago. Let's try, 20, 25 years ago. Because I remember I ordered, believe it or not, UFC 1, and that's when I saw Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock,
right,
Horace Gracie, what's the guy named Taylor Tooley, a lot of the OGs of the MMA fight game, and to see where it has gone from pay-per-view to eventually getting picked up by Spike Network, because you remember Spike, they gave them a platform, to have the Ultimate Fighter, and then kaboom, it blew up. And then, they went ahead and left Spike to say, okay, well, we'll be all right. And then, Bellator moved into Spike. But with MMA, man, it's real. These guys need to be making some. They need to be. You need to pay these guys. It's a full contact sport. They're knocking each other the hell out. And I'm over here looking at Jorge Masvidal's tweet. He said, "I can't leave.
Yeah.
They own me and they cut me, or I fight out my
contract." And see, the thing is, for a long time, the UFC had the upper hand because, like those fights that you were mentioning, those were like cockfights, like backyard brawls, like chicken. It was like a novelty thing. And so whenever they were in danger of going bankrupt in right around 2000, somewhere in that area, Dana White and the Fertitta brothers step in and basically save the sport. So these fighters were happy just to be fighting and getting paid, whereas, the whole thing could have dissolved and went away. So now, as time has progressed, it's past being just grateful to even be able to fight to the fact that this has become such a multi-million-dollar conglomerate that these guys are now saying, well, we're more valuable now that we need to be compensated better, like the other leagues are, like the other professional sports are. So we'll see how that goes. That they're not a union. I don't know if they'll ever be unionized in the UFC like the major sports team sports are, but eventually this is going to come to a head, because I think this is just kind of the beginning. Whenever you see your John Jones and Masvidal, who's red hot, and McGregor and Cejudo, guys all that are championship caliber fighters, or they're putting heat on the UFC now, and Dana White's going to have to do something to solve this thing here sooner than later.
Yeah, man, you got to take care of those household names, man. Like you said, McGregor, Masvidal, Nunes, Spencer, you John Jones, Cormier. Whenever he decides to, the back away from the table because he's looking mighty rotund as of late. But I bet he's tough though. He looks tough. But yeah, Francis Ngannou of you got these names and people are starting to associate the face with the name instead of going, who is that? So Dana White, you gonna have to figure something out because for a while there, Scottie D, UFC was killing WWE in pay-per-view buys. Yeah, pay-per-view buys, been killing them. I forgot how long it was, but they were killing them. I think somebody said on the wrestling podcast, they said the UFC does pro wrestling better than pro wrestling does pro wrestling.
Yeah,
That says a lot. Yeah, that really does set a lot. All right, and that was At the Fights with Scottie D and Eddy Kool, just hanging along, throwing in his little 2 cents. But it's that time once again, Scott. Hey, yo, button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite part of the show. You heard the woman, she ain't lying. It is the choices of the voices. Scottie D, I don't know what you did with this topic, but all hell broke loose. but in a good way. In a good way. But before I dive into this topic, it's going to be, of course, it's going to be about cereal. It's going to be about food. But I first want to give a shout out to Blake and Felicia over at Everything Poppington. Let me tell you something. I had a seafood crab boil dinner about 2 weeks ago. It had the garlic butter and Fee made her very own smack sauce. Woo! When I said some good eating, when I ate that, I felt like I was back home in the Carolinas. So if you are in the Lorain and Elyria, Ohio area, and you want some good quality, fresh food, affordable prices, you're going to eat till you're blue in the face, but you're going to be happy. Check them out at Everything Poppington LLC. And I'll provide the link in our description box. Everything Poppington, good food. But with that being said, Scottie D, what is the question for this week's Choices of the Voices?
I wanted to know what was the favorite cereal of our listeners, and man, America loves cereal.
Yeah, they love their cereal. And before I get started into this Choices of the Voices, the only reason we're doing this was we ain't got no doggone live sports. But guess what? This energy that y'all gave us for these here cereal, these here cereals, please give us the same energy when sports come around, okay? We're a sports podcast. This is things you do to kill and fill time. But you know what? We thank you for your participation. You ready, Scottie D?
Let's hear it, man.
All right, here we go. We got a new listener, Monique Adams. How you doing? She said her favorite cereal is the one with the frog on the front, a.k.a. the Smacks.
The frog in the front. I like that.
Red box, frog in the front, Smacks. Got you. All right, Angel Strickland, B-Live sister. Hey, sis, what's going on? She said, mine is not on here. She said, Raisin Bran Crunch, big difference. All right, so that's one for Raisin Bran Crunch. Brian Gardner says, I got to go with Fruity Pebbles or Reese's Puffs.
Never heard of Reese's Puffs.
It's not that bad, man. If you like peanut buttery tasting milk, if you like Reese's, that's the way to go, man. That's ready to go. Carrie Lockmatic, she said Honey Nut Cheerios or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. See, they're giving us a 1A and 1B. They're giving us 1A and 1B. Danielle Williams, she also said them Honey Smacks, the one with the frog on the front. All right, let's see what we got next here.
Bootios?
Huh?
Anybody say Bootios?
There's no Bootios. They make sure you ain't booty. Don't you know a box of those costs like $13?
I thought that. Yeah, I can't get them unless you order them. I think that's crazy.
I saw that. I don't even know if the store's still open. I saw them at a FYE a few years ago. I'm like, you mean tell me $13 for some damn cereal? I was like, come on now. Yeah, I mean, Scottie D, I've never purchased $13 worth of cereal in my life, but I get it. It's a gimmick. It's a novelty. It's merch. I fully understand it. Alexandria Hanscom, she said Apple freaking Jacks, baby. So we got one for Apple Jacks. Yeah. Marcus McPhail said Cookie Crisp, or here we go, Apple Jacks.
Apple Jacks. Couple one for Apple Jacks, huh?
Oh man, I can taste it right now. Kelly White said Cookie Crisp. You remember the commercial?
Yeah.
Cookie Crisp. Our very own Martin Tracy, he said my favorite defunct minor league hockey team, the Macon Whoopie. I don't eat cereal. Thank you. This section would not be the choices of the voices without Matty Ice. Ain't no way.
Matty's always got something funny to say there.
Oh man, we would not have it any other way. All right, Joel Turner said, those are the greatest hits from my childhood. He was referring to the picture where it had some of everything. And I apologize for the duplicate boxes, hashtag stock photos, okay? All right. He said, Honey Smacks. Here we go. We got another one with the frog in the red box. Honey Smacks was my jam in grade school. And chocolate Cocoa Puffs and Raisin Brans and Frosted Mini Wheats and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Y'all nailed this. So, Joel, you like a bunch of damn cereal. I get it. And he probably had a variety pack, too.
Oh, yeah. I forget about the little variety packs.
You can't go wrong with them. You cannot go. I think Joel Turner meant to say he liked the whole variety pack. I get it. I understand it.
I got to tell you, you're going to think I'm going to sound crazy here, but I once went, I think, like 12 years without having any cereal.
How in the hell did you pull that off?
I'm telling you, I was living in South Carolina, and I realized I hadn't had a bowl of cereal since I'd moved there, and I'd been there probably 12 years at that point.
So what were you eating? Grits and eggs and sausage?
No, man, I slept till like noon every day. I get up and have lunch. I never eat cereal. I didn't eat breakfast. I would only eat lunch foods for many years. And I'm just not one to think, or I don't believe in eating cereal like in the afternoon and the evening. It has to be in the morning. And it's such a commitment. You got to get the milk, the box, carry it around the grocery. You got to have the sugar. I mean, it's just too many moving parts. It's not just like buying hot pockets and throwing them in the microwave. You have to buy too many pieces to, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just not a big cereal guy, I guess, like America is. Like all these listeners are. I mean, this is great.
Oh, and it gets better. Ryan Rabelski, he said, what about the monster cereals? You know, the blueberry,
yeah,
Frankenberry.
Yeah.
And Jeff Witt, he said the same thing too. The monstrous evil cereals. Andrew Petrillo, she said Frosted Flakes, and she said Lucky Charms with the marshmallows. Can't go wrong with that. Emily Sweppenser, she said the Honey Graham O's, the Honey Bunches of O's, the Honey Graham O's over everything. Jack Thompson said Cocoa Pebbles. Leanne Otway.
I like those.
Yep. Leanne Otway, she said Apple Jacks. So that's like what, 9 for Apple Jacks?
Yeah, Apple Jacks. Shout out to Leanne for being hot.
Yeah, let's see. Candace Jewell, she said Captain Crunch with the red berries. Oh, didn't they have a limited red berries sometime before?
They did have red berries at one point. I don't know the current status on that. I have to plead ignorance on that one.
Yeah, I don't think they make them no more. Mom to the show, Myrtle Strickland Livingston. She said, how about Raisin Nut Bran?
All right, Mom 5. All right, Raisin Nut Bran.
We'll do it. And rounding out, Marquita Johnson said, currently, I eat Special K protein cereal. It is tasty. She said, now my favorite from the list, although I no longer eat it, is Cookie Crisp.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, Cookie Crisp is good, man. So let's see. We got some repeat cereals. Let's see. We got Cookie Crisp, Apple Jacks.
How about Raisin Bran? Anybody say Raisin Bran?
Did somebody say yes? Mama Live said Raisin Bran.
Is there a difference between Raisin Nut Bran and Raisin Bran, right? Or
yeah, one got nuts, one don't.
No Wheaties though, right? Didn't you tell me there's no Wheaties?
and no freaking
The
Wheaties. Like,
Breakfast of Champions on the sports show, no Wheaties.
and no, and I'm like, and so Scott, between when normally when you drop the question, it gets shared between my personal profile, your personal profile, and then the Sports Bros podcast, like page. So 80, probably close to like 90 answers I had to go through, and I didn't see not nay orange box Wheaties with Bruce Jenner
How
on the
about
front.
that?
Wow, of all cereals, you know what that means, Scott? America loves sugar,
Yeah.
hopped up sugar,
Yeah.
hopped up sugar. Scottie D, since he said he doesn't eat, he hadn't ate cereal in about 13 years. But when you did have cereal, Scottie D, what was your favorite cereal?
I've kind of wrestled with this all week because I don't eat a ton of cereal even to this day. I think I thought Captain Crunch was it for a while. I thought maybe Raisin Bran was it, but I kind of think it's Fruity Pebbles for me. Here's what I like. I like eating the Fruity Pebbles, and then when you're done, the milk is like pinkish color, and then you kind of
Ooh.
slurp down the cereal milk. I mean, I think I like that as much as anything. So I think Fruity Pebbles gives me that best option of that cereal milk. You know what I mean? I think that's mine.
I'm torn because I really thought long and hard about this. Like, I thought like this would be easy, but there are several. No one mentioned the yellow corn pops. No one mentioned those.
Yeah.
No, that. Yep. That was one of my favorite cereals. Um, Frosted Mini Wheats. I love those too.
Yeah.
When I'm in the mood, I have my my crunch berries, Cap Crunch berries. And one of my all-time favorite cereals, it was a novelty, but they don't make it no more, the Rice Krispie Treat cereal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they made a Rice Krispie Treat cereal,
Did
and it
they
was good.
say Rice Krispies?
Huh?
Did anybody actually say Rice Krispies?
No, they didn't say right. Nope, not Rice Krispies.
Wow.
And I don't even think we saw. Okay, we got one Frosted Flakes. Yeah, we got one Frosted Flakes. It was either you know Honey Smacks, Apple Jacks,
Cheerios?
huh?
No Cheerios?
I think I saw Honey Nut Cheerios. Yeah, Carrie, she liked Honey Nut.
Like old school original Cheerios. I guess that's too boring at this point for America.
Man, you gotta throw sugar and strawberries and bananas in it. I did that one time before. Put some bananas in my cereal. I'm like, that's overrated.
It just looks good on TV.
Yeah, it looks good on TV. They look like doing it, but just imagine like you're trying to eat your Frosted Flakes, and then you got your milk, and then you got your bananas. A whole lot going on. But Scotty D, here is the question of all questions. When it comes to cereal, now it's an often asked question. What goes in the bowl first? Is it cereal first and then the milk? Or is it the milk first and then the cereal?
Absolutely no question about it. Cereal first and then add milk.
Yeah, I'm with you on
All
that
right.
one.
See? There we
go. I'm with you on that one because who the hell? Okay, well, I'm going to pour the milk in there, pour the cereal in there, and then you got cornflakes all over the place.
Yeah, that's a B Live thing. I bet you B Live is a milk first. He's not here to defend himself. I bet B Live is a milk first kind of guy.
Oh man, here we go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a freaking sports podcast. We talked about cereal. All right, now that we got that mess out the way, Scotty D, what's the question for next week's choices of the voices?
All right, we're going to go back into the sports topic, and actually, this is a question that was kind of Matty Ice kind of gave me the idea for this because he was talking about how Tom Brady, leaving the Patriots behind, is still going to be his favorite. He says he's still going to root for him. It's still going to be his guy. So it made me it gave me the idea to ask, what athlete did you most hate to see leave your favorite team of any sport? And going forward, did you root for that player or did you root against them? I can remember Emmitt Smith leaving the Cowboys, and I was disgusted. And he played with the Cardinals the following year, and I was rooting against him big time. But that was just because they were playing the Cowboys. But you're always excited to get a player on your team, but whenever you have a guy you love, I mean, Patriots fans overall, they have to. I know they're downplaying it a lot, but they have to hate to see Brady in another uniform because, I mean, he's been New England football for 20 years. So, other than him, or if you're a diehard Patriot fan and you want to use that and elaborate next week, that's what we want to know. What athlete did you most hate to see leave your team, and did you root for that guy or root against that guy?
Yep, and that's next week's question on next week's choices of the voices. Freaking cereal. Shout out to everybody. I'm not naming all 82 names. We ain't got that kind of time today. Shout out to everybody for their participation in the choices of the voices. New listeners, old listeners, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Scottie D, guess what, man? We're moving right along, and guess what? It is time to go home, head to the house. But before we go to the house, we got to do a round of pepper, man. You know how we do it. Yep, you know how we do it. Round of pepper, man. 3 topics, rapid fire style. Kind of, sort of, not really. Scott got 3 sports topics, and I'll do 3 topics in the form of today in history. And I'll go first. On this day, you'll like this story. You'll love the story. I found some good ones, man. A lot of good stuff happened, during this period of time. On this day in 1920, the Reds' Ed Roush falls asleep in center field during an argument. Yeah, in the middle of a field during an argument. I'm trying to figure out how long was this argument in order for him to fall asleep. Was he drunk the night before? Was it a hot day? Was he tired, or was he just bored? Here's the thing about it. Heine Groh goes to wake him up, but the umpire says, "Hey, man, wake up." And by the way, he ejects him for a delay of game. Yeah, that's what happened this day in 1920. Moral of the story is, kids, make your argument short and sweet and don't fall asleep in the center field. Over to you, Scottie D.
Baseball's not a place for narcolepsy, evidently.
No.
Speaking on baseball, we talked a little bit about this earlier about how the baseball could be stepping up their game, stepping to the forefront and taking control here of the situation here and getting America's eyes on them. They're fighting over money again. The one team this is good for is the Houston Astros, because coming off of their cheating scandal over the wintertime, and we get into spring training and people are starting to boo them and make signs and make fun of them. Then they were lucky because COVID-19 hit and all the attention seems to have gone away from that. Now it's on the baseball argument. Houston may come out of this a little bit unscathed here. I mean, they're still going to have their detractors and people are going to be mad at them, but this was like the perfect year for them to have to go through all this stuff. So we'll see how baseball responds to the Houston Astros once we return. Hopefully, if they return in 2020.
Well, that heat went from the Houston Astros to Drew Brees, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. My second pepper point. This day in 2001, NHL Hall of Fame defenseman Raymond Bourque plays his final game in his NHL career. Ray Bourque is legendary. He is number 77 in Boston. I want people to know how he got the number 77. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Scottie D, help me out a little bit. There was a gentleman by the name of Phil Esposito that played for the Boston Bruins, yep. Correct? All right, he had the number 7. Before it was retired, Ray Bourque said, I want to do number 7. And then, of course, it was like, well, you know what? Something's got to give. So early in his career, in a gesture of respect, Ray Bourque took his number 7 sweater off and gave the number 7 sweater to one Esposito. And a few minutes later, Ray Bourque puts on a brand new jersey that will be symbolic to the rest of his career, the number 77. But class act, Raymond Bourque, I'm glad he got the hell up out of Boston and finally won him a Stanley Cup in Colorado. So this day in history, Ray Bourque hangs up the skates.
Over all right. What year was that? Did he hung up?
2001.
Okay. And I tell you what, I know that's actually kind of topical to our Choices of the Voices next week. I know a lot of Boston people were super happy when Bork got that Stanley Cup. It was almost like he won that for Boston whenever he won it, because that was a guy who really deserved to get his hands on the Stanley Cup. Sad story I saw on the internet over the weekend. 10 racehorses were killed in a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike. They were heading to New York. One of those horses was American Pharaoh, sire to American Pharaoh, the Triple Crown winner from a few years ago. Don't know the cause of the crash yet, but it caught on fire and the horses were killed. It just goes to show you, 2020 sucks. Just more suckitude from the year 2020. I mean, race horses and everything. Eddy Kool, over to you.
Somebody told me, Scottie D, said, "Oh man, how I don't get it. How bad 2020 can be." Okay, let me remind you what 2020 gave us. January, Kobe died. February, Australia was on fire. March, Ronomania 2020, and no more live sports for almost 2 whole months. Scott, what happened in April? Hell, I don't even remember. I don't even remember. In May, you got the sad event that happened with George Floyd, and now here we are in June.
Oh, it was the murder hornets were in April. We skipped over them pretty good, though.
Yeah, well, they never arrived in the first damn place. Come on. Hey, it's murder hornets. I'm over here. There's a murder hawk. Yeah. Then there's a murder hornet, and then there's nothing. I saw a few bees in the front yard, and that's about it. They supposed to be
materialized like they were supposed to. 2020 sucks.
Oh man, I'm just ready for sports. Sports got to come back to.
We need you athletes. Do it. Do your thing.
Yeah, we understand safety, but like only thing that can put a Band-Aid on this country is sports. Whew, I swear. All right, my last and final pepper point, Scottie D. I thought of you when I was reading this, and just like the first pepper point, it's a story about the Pittsburgh Pirates, Scottie D's favorite team. All right, on this day in 1989, the Pittsburgh Pirates scored 10 runs in the first. Their best inning since 1942. That was the year my mom was born. Miss you, mama. And this prompts Pirates broadcaster Jim Rooker to say he would walk from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia if the Pirates lost. The Phillies beat them 15-11. And Jim Rooker wound up walking 300 plus miles at the end of the season. But guess what? He didn't do it for his health. He did it for charity. So, moral of the story is, kids, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Over to you, Scottie D.
I remember when that happened to Rooker. Said, "I'll walk home." And he did. He kept his word. Well, speaking of past Pirate pitchers to current Pirate pitchers, Chris Archer was put on the shelf this past week by the Pirates. If they play this year, he will not pitch in 2020. He won't pitch again until 2021. Chris Archer, 2 seasons ago, was the Pirates trade deadline acquisition. At the time, the Pirates were playing well, and general manager Neil Huntington went out and got Chris Archer in exchange for Tyler Glasnow and Austin Meadows, trading them to Tampa Bay. At the time, I'm not going to lie, most Pirate fans were pretty excited about the Chris Archer deal because he had been throwing some gas down in Tampa. He looked good. He just did not pan out in Pittsburgh. And now, for some reason, he's now going to have surgery. It doesn't look good that he'll come back effectively. This is the same surgery, and forgive me for not knowing off the top of my head the name of it, that Brian Harvey from the Mets had a couple years ago. And typically pitchers don't come back and do well beyond this. The Pirates actually will have a chance, I think, to exercise an option next year on Archer for $11 million, or buy him out for like $500,000 or less. That probably will happen. We've probably seen the last Archer in Pittsburgh. It was not a good run. It was a failed deal by former general manager Neil Huntington. And I was anxious to see what the young Pirates are going to do this year with their new manager, Derek Shelton. He's replacing Clint Hurdle, thank God. And again, just hopefully get some baseball on the field and see what these young buckos have to offer going forward. And that's all I got for Pepper here, Eddy Kool, for the week.
Yep, Derek Shelton replaced the all-time Hall of Famer penalty box member Clint Hurdle. Never forget Clint Hurdle, man. We gonna stay mad at you, and I ain't even got a team in the race. Ain't that something? Well, Scottie D, man, that's it for another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. As we mentioned, the Almighty Be Live. You can catch me at work, Max Speed Shop. I don't know the address, but just listen to the last episode and he'll tell you. We also have our Sports Bros Podcast Facebook like page, also the Sports Bros Podcast YouTube channel, the WordPress, the Instagram. Hey man, we worldwide. We everywhere. We all over the place, baby. Yeah, we are all over the place. And you can catch me, Eddy Kool, the HOC here at the Sports Bros Podcast. You can catch me on Facebook, just trying to live one day at a time. And if you do Snapchat, you can also catch me on Snapchat, Super Cool 5000, and also on Instagram, Cool Season, all one word. You have any questions, comments, suggestions, recommendations, feel free to hit our inbox up. Yes, feel free to hit us up on the inbox, or myself, or Scottie D Be Live, or the email sportsbrospcast@gmail.com if I'm not mistaken. But as always, everything you need from a link standpoint, you'll find it in the description box. And one more last shout out before I leave. Big shout out to Eddy Kool and his brand, Adjust the Bands. As a lot of you know, I got a bunch of hair, and a lot of times I get tired of those hair ties because they just don't do it. And rubber bands, they pull my scalp back, making me look like I got Botox. I'm too young and too cool to have Botox. So, Eddy Kool, man, Just the Bands, he got a real nice product, man. If you got a lot of hair and you need to get a good ponytail, get it hung in there nice together, nice and tight. The material is great. Matter of fact, I have a black adjuster band in now, and it almost feel like I don't have nothing on my hair. That damn good. So check him out when you get a chance to. Over to you, Scottie
I'm
D.
glad to know you got some comfortable hair bands there, Eddy Kool. That's encouraging. I'm happy to hear that for you. And just for those of you who are checking us out here, we do appreciate you listening. And listen, man, this is a tough time in our world, and it's really, things are bad out there. We have the protests have gone on, and the riots that have followed. We have COVID-19 that is still on the rise. There's a lot of crap going on out there, and people are fighting over this a lot. People are politicizing the stuff back and forth, and that's why we don't really cover that stuff here, because we want to get an escape. Man, tell other people that we're doing this. Take a break from that stuff and just listen to the Sports Bros for an hour and a half. Just get a little break from that, and then enjoy the world of sports. And we talk about other stuff. And usually when Be Live's here, we make fun of him, so that's kind of funny too. So stick with us and spread the word about us, man. Share it. Listen to this with someone else. Tell a friend about us. And that's all we ask, is give us a chance, because we're having fun doing this. So we hope you have fun listening to us. And happy birthday to the missing link, Be Live.
Missing link, Be Live. Yeah, you're right, Scottie D, man. Hey, man, sometimes we just need to get away. If not for a long time, just for a little bit. And I encourage anybody out there, if you want to talk, come talk to one of us. We're not going to run from you. We'll talk to you. If you are seeking therapy, continue to seek therapy. Do what you got to do to maintain your sanity and maintain your peace, because it is crazy. Like this, what they say, the roaring 20s. I think we should find another word besides roaring. It's just, it's 2020 just hit us in the face. So Scottie D, they can find you on Facebook. Yep, on Facebook in Washington, PA. If you're in the area, stop by and say hi. But you gotta do a drive-by.
Yeah,
you gotta do a drive-by.
wave to you from my window.
Yeah, you gotta do a drive-by. Nothing personal. It is what it is. Coronavirus is still out there. And with that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast in the books. It's a wrap like a deli sandwich. And then closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated, especially now more than ever. With that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast.
Yes, sir.
I want some cereal now.